My mom knew her carne guisada was great, but kind of hesitated, and then she just knocked it out of the park. Hola, 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 Vianney Rodriguez here in South Texas, your resident Tex-Mex queen. And guys, today we are cooking up a delicious plate of carne guisada. A beloved Tex-Mex plate, carne guisada is well known all throughout the world. And today I'm gonna show you how easy it is to make it at home. Let's get cooking. Carne guisada literally means stewed meat. Carne guisada was served in the smaller Mexican restaurants throughout Texas, but slowly started to trickle into Tex-Mex restaurants after Taco Cabana featured it on their menu. Now, throughout Texas, you'll find endless varieties of carne guisada. Some use chili powder to season their gravy. Some use dried chilies. Today, I want to show you how I flavor my gravy using tomatoes, onions, cumin, salt, and pepper. So let's get started. Okay, the first step in making the carne guisada is we're gonna brown the meat. We want to brown the meat because this allows the juices to be sealed in and gives us that little crust of flavor on the outside of beef. So that really enhances the flavor of the gravy. I have my pan over medium-high heat. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil, and we're gonna do this in batches because we don't wanna overcrowd the pan because then it prevents the sirloin from evenly browning. So I'm gonna add some oil to my pan. We're gonna do it by fourths. I'm gonna add a quarter, another quarter, brown it, and have another bowl on the side so you can add your beef once it's browned. We're gonna add our sirloin to the pan. And you can hear that sizzle, and that's a good sound. That's the sound you want. You want it to get nice and brown. Okay, I don't want to overcrowd the pan, so I'm gonna stop right here. And here's a good Tex-Mex tip. When making carne guisada, make sure you brown your meat evenly. This will seal in the juices and enhance the flavor of your gravy. Try not to move the beef while it's browning. You want it to get nice and seared in that heat. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it, flip it. You wanna do this, I use tongs, that way I can see individually flip them. You can see how this sirloin is starting to brown, and that's what you want. That's gonna add flavor to our gravy. In some carne guisada recipes, you'll find that they add the beef to the pot, bring it to the boil with the seasonings, and then start to create their gravy. I prefer to do it this way because I feel like browning the meat adds that extra layer of flavor, and anytime we're making a recipe, the more flavor layers we can add, the better. So our first batch is done. I'm gonna use a spoon to remove it, and I'm gonna place it in a bowl. You need a vessel that will catch the juices that release from the meat, because once we finish browning, we're gonna return everything back to the gravy, and you want those juices that have left the meat. That's flavor also, guys. Okay, that was my first batch, and if you can see the skillet is bubbling a little bit, that's the fat rendering off from the beef. And if there's still oil in the pan, no need to add more oil. Here we go in with our second batch of beef. Okay, so my last batch of sirloin has browned. I'm gonna remove it from the pan, and we're gonna start to build the flavors of the gravy. And remember, we've only browned the sirloin. We haven't fully cooked it. It will fully cook while it stews in the gravy. I've removed all the beef from the pan. Next, I will add the diced onion and the diced tomato. And while I add it to the pan, I'm gonna really stir the pan, removing any brown bits that were left in the pan, because this also is flavor, guys. Flavor all the time, layers and layers of flavor. Okay, we want our tomatoes to be slightly moistened, but we want our onions to be light and translucent. Next, we're gonna add flour. We wanna be sure we cook the flour thoroughly. We want it a little bit browned. That way we remove the flour taste from our gravy. We're gonna mix it in. The flour helps to thicken the gravy, and it gives it that stewed consistency, which is typical in a guisado dish. Next, I'm gonna return all the seared sirloin back to the pan with the juices. Now we're gonna add beef broth. We want about 6 cups, we want our beef to be completely immersed in the beef broth. So I'm gonna give it a quick stir because you wanna make sure you don't have any lumps of flour swimming in there. Now I'm gonna season our gravy. I'm gonna come in with garlic powder. We're gonna come in with my beloved cumin. I love cumin because it adds such an earthy flavor to every dish, and it gives it that all-day cooking flavor, which I love. Okay, we're gonna add a little bit of pepper. So as you can see, we've started to build layers and layers and layers of flavor. And then this will cook for about 40 minutes because we want that beef nice and tender. I'm gonna give it a quick stir. And then I'm gonna crank the heat up because I wanna bring this to a boil. Bringing the carne guisada to a boil shocks the beef, releasing the juice, and helps the first phase of thickening the gravy. Now we're gonna reduce the heat and we're gonna let it simmer for 40 minutes. This helps the sirloin to become nice and tender, and it'll start to thicken our gravy slowly. Our local band was having a fundraiser for a trip, and my mom volunteered to make carne guisada because they were selling plates. And the rest of the committee was kind of weary, and they were like, who's gonna buy carne guisada? And my mom's like, no, don't be worried. You know, everybody loves my carne guisada, you know. The day arrives and she makes these huge, I think she made 3 huge steaming pots of carne guisada. At that point, she starts to get hesitant too, and she's like, do you think people are gonna come? Do you think people are gonna buy plates? And I'm like, Mom, if anybody is gonna knock this out of the park, it's gonna be you. So we drive up and she's already nervous, and I can tell, and I'm starting to get worried for her, but we pull up and there's a line around the block. She sold out of her carne guisada in less than an hour. So that's a cute story, but I love it. If you can see, our sirloin is nice and tender. Our gravy has thickened up and picked up this gorgeous brown color, and that's what you want. You want the flavor from the beef, the onions, and the tomatoes to help flavor your gravy. So I'm gonna give it a quick stir. It smells so good. Carne guisada is truly a Tex-Mex dish you should really try, guys. Okay, so I've ladled it up. You want to add plenty of that thick gravy. I see the onions, I see the little studded tomatoes in there. It's so good. It's tender, the gravy is perfectly flavored. I hope you give this a try. Carne guisada is perfect in the cooler months in Texas, which is rare, but I hope one of these days you open your heart to carne guisada. You will not be disappointed. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Tex-Mex goodness coming your way. Bye.